Hello everyone, welcome to Caroline's Craftery and welcome to just making stuff. Now I've got quite a load of stuff on my desk. Let's just move this off to the side a little bit. Now, a lot of us have these Victorian photo albums. I've got a few different styles, there's different sizes, but they're all basically the same. They've got their picture frame and then usually a very nice vintage Victorian looking design around it. Love this size, absolutely love that size. But then there's this one here that opens up this way. But the same thing, you get those lovely Victorian style vintage pictures where you would put your picture. This one has a little spot where you would put about the picture. But there's lots of them, and I know a lot of us have these. And I did a bunch of looking, and I didn't find too much on people using them. There was a few videos out there about it. But this one here, I happen to have a couple of these, so I figured it was going to be a good one to start with because if I wrecked it, I had a backup. So I've done a lot of the prep work because I will confess this is a lot of work. So I started by cutting the pages out of the book. Now I've got some here that are not divided. Now these are a fairly hefty cardstock. Just trying to find, and they all opened at one end because you would slip your picture in there, right? So now here is some of the bigger pages which I have divided already. Now you can see it rips and tears, and I'm not going to lie and say it was an easy thing, but I'm going to give you a few hints. Like this one here tore quite badly. It's quite thin around the edges, but around here it's fine. Now I haven't done anything further with the big ones because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them. But I'm going to find the one that I haven't taken apart yet. Now I used this. It is a thing for a Cricut machine. I do not own a Cricut machine. I got it from somewhere, and it's a great little spatula type thing. So what I did was I used this, and you could use anything that's got, probably I would go with a metal blade, but plastic might work, but something thin and tough. And I would just put it in there, and then I would drag it off to the side, and basically slowly cutting away at that. Then I would do some on this side. Now somebody said to try some steam or like your heat gun, something like that. I have not done that yet. And for the most part, this worked good. It was just a little time consuming. You can see how far I've got down here just on the few minutes that I've been doing this. Let me just finish down this side. But that gives you an idea. And I'm just going to keep going and do that all the way around. Then when I'm done, I do go to the back and I'll pick off anything on the back that is kind of loose and whatnot. So that's what I've done with all the pages. Now, from there I thought, well, what am I going to do with them all? So I'm lucky enough, I had some die cuts. These are Spellbinder's nesting die that I'm lucky enough to own. Die cuts definitely make it a lot easier, but they're not a necessity. You can cut them out. Now I had some little dies, so little bits and pieces. I just I cut little shapes out of them, and I can use those for embellishments. And let's see now. We've got a bunch of just strips. Now, I took a big page. Let me just show you in this book, give you a better idea. Let me just find one of them. Like this page here. I took that and I cut out these 4 using the die cut. So after the page was cut out and separated, I die cut like so. The big one I would use usually one like this, or if it was wrecked, I didn't do nothing with it, etc. This one has a great size of all different sizes. Now with these ones, this isn't the exact one, but it's close. I cut it way off to the side. Let these ones, so this one, these ones, some of these I cut way off to the side using the die. I just wanted something a little bit different, and just in the center, it lost too much of the design around it by putting it in the center. So I did kind of a variety of things. But I've got a pile of the bigger windows here, which I cut down to kind of a manageable size for a journal card. Now I've got them already paired up with what I'm going to put in the back. I went through all my, not all, but scraps of digital stuff and decide, okay, well, that one looks nice on there, that one looks nice on there, etc. So I've paired them all up with stuff. And here is a bunch of the little stuff that is also paired up. So she's going to go in there. And I've also cut just blank pieces using the die cuts, which will be on the back. So I've kind of got those all paired up. Then I had a whole bunch of scraps of odds and ends. And of course I didn't want to waste them. So I've cut them into shapes to use as bookmarks, journal cards, etc. And I will just line these with some kind of paper of some kind. Now I have these atlas pages, and they're really, really sturdy. And I don't use map pages a lot in my journal stuff, but they make great backing. By the time I back that, it makes a great color because it's an off-white to creamy color. So that'll work great for all kinds of backings on these. So I've got a whole bunch of those as well. I tried to waste as little as possible. And then, of course, I showed you the die cuts. But this is what we're making. I've got one of these ones. Now, I don't know if you can see the acetate that I put in the window. And then it's backed. Great journaling card, right? Whatever you want. Here's a big one, and again, there's the acetate in it. Hopefully you can see the acetate. And the backing. Now you can embellish this further or just leave it. I think they look fantastic just the way they are. So let me show you what I did. I've got one right here, and you can see the back is, nicked up from where I had to separate the glue, but that's going to get covered up. And this lovely lady is going to go in here. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to put her relatively where I want her. Hold it on the back, and I'm going to take my scissors now, and then I'm just going to trim kind of on the edge. Now I can hold this up and I can see my line of my cardstock coming down there. Now you probably can't see it, but it's a great easy way to cut things without measuring it. So there is that. I've got some acetate here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the acetate. I'm going to lay it on top of there. Now this you can see. And I'm just going to trim up where I want it. I don't care if it's even, as long as it is relatively the right size. So there we have the acetate. It is a bit crooked on the end, but that's okay. I try hard not to touch my acetate in the middle just to avoid prints on it. Going to use some art glitter glue. You could use double-sided tape, pretty much anything. And I'm just going to go right around, not too close to the edge because the glue's going to squash out. And then I guess I could go a little bit squarish too, just to hold all the acetate down. And I'm just going to put that down right on top there. Now, yes, you could measure this. You could cut it, you know, straight as you want. Doesn't really matter. So there's my acetate in there. Let's get my little lady here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go around about the same spot I put the glue down under the acetate, and then I'm going to go around my picture. And that's going to hold it all down nice and neat. So I am curious on how many of you have some of these Victorian photo albums. Let me just, we need to pull her down. Oh, she's stuck already. It's a little bit trickier because, there, that looks okay. I'm okay with that. You got to put the picture on the back so you can only see one side at a time. Okay, so there we have her all pretty inside the frame of that. Now, I'm just going to back it using this map page. So I'm going to put glue all over the back. And you could stitch around these, decorate them further. It's all up to you. I'm not going to decorate them any further until I actually go to put them in a book, because maybe I might want it really, really flat inside the journal. Maybe I want to put something on it that's going to go with the journal I'm going to put this in. Now, again, I'm going to hold this up a little bit because I don't want to put glue on the picture. Sometimes the glue will show through on things, and I don't want that to happen. I'm going to glue it on the colored side because of the fact I want the back for writing. Flip it over. Press it down. Make sure it's nice and firm there. And then I can cut it out. Normally I would let it dry. Now these papers from these albums are quite thick. It was actually hard cutting them with my good guillotine cutter, but I did manage to do it. And then we're going to just take a little bit of ink up the edge, just that little bit. I like to ink pretty much everything. I find it just gives it a little bit finished look, but inking is not a necessity. Excuse me. And some of these I may stitch around. Time will tell on that. And I will do that when I go to use them. So there we have a very pretty journaling card. They are very substantial because that cardboard in those books are so very heavy duty, good quality. So there we have two. Now, like I say, the acetate is optional. You don't really need it. If I had shinier pictures, I might not. I don't want them like shiny, like a picture shiny, but just a little bit of something extra on there. Now with these here, I used the same map page and I used the die cut to cut it out. So that's actually going to be my backing. But for this one, I'm going to put this butterfly back there. Now the same thing, I'm going to put it how I want it in there. I'm going to come to this side and I'm just going to snip off the corners so it's not sticking through or out past the edge of my frame. And I'm going to do the same thing. I have a little piece of acetate here, which should be enough for this. Yes, it is. And I'm going to do the same thing with my acetate. Come on, get off there. I just find this so much easier than trying to cut it to shape, etc. And yeah, probably waste a little more this way, but okay, same thing. I'm going to put the glue right around the edge, leaving a bit of space, give room for the smushing of the glue. Put that down, give it a little bit of a press. And the art glitter glue does stick to the acetate. I've struggled with some glues for that. So this is going to go kind of about there. I'm going to try and do a little bit better this job of getting it in the right place. And this time, let's try something different. I'm going to take this, and I've just put glue around the edge, so I'm going to find out where I want it, plop it down, and now I can just go in with this, lift this up, and put a bit of glue down around here. And I think that will actually work just as well, and maybe even better, because it gives me a better idea of where I need it. And then we're going to take this and we're going to put it right on top. So let's put glue. Let's put glue on here. Around the edge. And I'm just going to avoid the very center of this. And then this is going to go on top. Before I press it down, I'm going to kind of use my hands and squish it together. I want to try and line it up. You would think they're the exact same size. You would think they'd be easy to line up. But that is not always the case. Still a little bit off. Okay. If it's a little bit off, I'm not too worried about it. I can trim it, and also that's why I ink these, is to help blend the two levels together, the two layers together. It gives them kind of the same color, so then they don't stand out quite as much. But I think they're turning out really pretty. As I say, the hardest part was taking the book apart. So we got that. I could have inked in the center, but I think they're pretty. And yeah, I just tried to pick something in the center that kind of went with the flowers. And now I could use those as an embellishment on a belly band or something like that. But I'm going to be doing all of these like the bookmarks, all that I'm going to do is back them and then ink them. And then I've got all these ones to do. So I'm kind of mass making them. And the big ones, about all I could do with some of them is use them for the cover of a journal. But even then, some of them are a bit wide. Like the circle, well, if you take the border of that circle, you're looking at about 4 3/4 inches, so 5 inches. So that would barely fit on the front of a journal, or most of the journals that I make. But they're beautiful. But on a journal cover, you're not going to get a lot of that. So I'm not sure if I'll cut some of these into belly bands and cards, or what I will quite do with them yet. Now this one here, it seemed to me it had 2 pages of each color. Now this would work for a journal cover. If you figure your journal cover is 6 inches, that would pretty much use up that design. And let's say they were 8 inches. So that one there you could easily use as a journal cover. So I'll probably tuck those away until I'm going to use them. Then I'll do something with them. But it's a fun project. You can get those albums really cheap at the dollar store. Not the dollar store, the thrift stores, etc. I see them quite often, but I did stop buying them just because I needed to make sure I could use them before. You also get a really nice sturdy cover to use. So a pre-made journal cover. But I hope you like this mass make. I'm going to continue with these, and I'll show them all in a upcoming What's Up video. I'm going to play at working on these for the rest of today. These ones I used a piece of a file folder on. So I will just use kind of scraps that are blank on one side. I have a fair number of scraps like we all do. But there is those, not sure what I'm calling them, but hopefully you found it useful. And hopefully you found the way I showed you to take them apart with this was useful. I don't know if I'm going to try the steam method or not, or the heat method. If you do try that, let me know how it worked. Nobody ever showed really how to take them apart. So that was a little bit of trial and error. But the one lady I wrote to, she did write me back, and pretty much that's how she took them apart as well, is just using something and got under there and pried them open slowly. Take your time doing it and just take it easy with it and do it a little bit at a time. It took me an evening to take the whole book apart. So not really quick, but it wasn't super hard either. But check out the links on the other mask makes, my other tutorials, the shops, the Facebook group, all that stuff. I do so appreciate you being here and being a subscriber. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that bell, hit the icon, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.